to sing the sun
The Cappies. Little did I know, just over 9 years ago, that the lunch Bill and I had so that he could share a great idea for high school theater could have resulted in what we now embrace and call the Cappies. We started out small with 13 Fairfax County schools plus Bishop Ireton that first year, and the metro area Cappies is now 60 schools strong. Who better to represent this amazing homegrown program than two young men Bill and I literally watched grow and flourish during their 4 years in the Cappies. Branson Reese, a Westfield graduate, doing a comedic monologue from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and Yasser Latifi, a Hayfield Secondary graduate, portraying the stage manager from Our Town, Act 3.
Do you ever think of yourself as actually dead? Lying in a box with a lid on it? Nor do I, really. It's silly to be depressed by it. I mean, one thinks of it like being alive inside of a box. One keeps forgetting to take into account the fact that one is dead. Which should make all the difference, shouldn't it? I mean, one thinks of it like being asleep inside of a box. Not that I'd like to sleep in a box, mind you. Not without any air. Because you'd wake up dead for a start, and then where would you be? Inside of a box. It's the bit I don't like, frankly. That's why I don't think about it. Because, ask yourself, if I were to ask you straight off, hey, I'm gonna stuff you in this box, would you rather be alive or dead? Naturally, you'd rather be alive. Life in a box is better than no life at all, I expect. But you'd have a chance at least. You could lie there thinking, well, at least I'm not dead. Any minute, someone's gonna come, bang on the lid and tell me to come out. Any minute. Any minute. Someone's gonna come bang on the lid and say, hey, what's your name? Get out of there. You. Get out of that box. All right. A Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew chance to meet in a bar, okay? Silverstein, cries the Jew. Who's your friend? His name's Abdullah, but he's no friend of mine since he became a convert. We have no control. None at all. All right. A Hindu, a Buddhist, and a lion tamer chance to meet on the Indo-Chinese border. We have no control. None at all. Yeah, sir? Thank you, Ransom.
This here is the new part of the cemetery. Yes, an awful lot of sorrow has sort of quieted down of people. People just filled with grief have brought their relatives up to this hill. We all know how it is. And then time, sunny days, rainy days, the snow, We're all glad they're in this beautiful place, and we'll be here ourselves when our fit's over. Now, there are some things we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. Everyone knows that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal, and that something has to do with human beings. All the greatest people that ever lived have been telling us that for 5,000 years, and yet you'd be surprised how many of us humans are always losing hold of it. There's something deep down that's eternal about every human being. Now, you know as well as I do that the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, lose hold of the earth and all the ambitions they had, and all the things they suffered, and the pleasures they had, and the people they loved. They get weaned away from the earth. That's the way I put it. Weaned away. And in time, the earth part of them burns away, burns out. And in all that time, they slowly become indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something that they feel is coming. Something important and great. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part in them to come out clear? And what's left? Your memory's gone. And your identity.
Presenting the nominees.
It's awesome. That is the coolest thing. I've gone to the Opera House, seen, half a dozen shows, and I'm just like, I want to go up there. And then, you're on the concert hall stage.
It means that all the hard work I put into my show, it's paid off.
Unbelievable, because it's just such a big thing in the Kennedy Center, and it's a dream come true.
The genesis of the Critics and Awards program occurred in 1999 as a reaction to the negative press coverage of high school students following the Columbine shootings. The idea of doing something positive was first articulated publicly by Bill during an appearance on a C-SPAN Young Journalists Forum.
Yeah, I'd like to actually endorse one of your ideas, Kristen, as part of this challenge about violence, and I'd like to suggest to anybody who's watching this program that increasing arts coverage across America in community newspapers is a very important thing, because it is often the arts programs that will be the haven for the outcasts, for the kids who are a little different, a little quirky, maybe not part of the athlete clique and all that. And you look at the amount of ink that is given to sports in community newspapers and major newspapers like the Washington Post, and probably also in your Fairfax paper. It's way disproportionate to what is offered to kids who are doing arts. And there are a lot of fabulous musicals out there that are just as fabulous as a soccer game or a field hockey game, and they should be covered, and the students who do these things should be welcomed into the community, so they're doing something important. And I think that the media has a responsibility to provide teenage arts coverage that they have absolutely ignored up to now.
afterwards, my dad was late picking me up, so I stayed around talking with Bill Strauss about theater and reviewing theater. And I liked writing about my school's plays, but I was a little bit biased because I was usually in them.
She said it would be great if there was some way that kids could review each other's shows. So I got the idea of having a peer review process where the kids would go see each other's shows, write reviews under faculty mentor guidance. I called up the Washington Post, and it turned out that that same week the Washington Post, after Columbine, had decided that they had to have more positive coverage of teenagers in areas other than just sports. I asked them for one 200-word review written by a student from one school about a show from another school, and the response I got from Mary Lou Toussaint was, hey, 200 words, that's too short. How about 400 words? One review, that's not enough. Let's do two, and can we send a photographer?
What he didn't realize is that he was sort of preaching to the choir, as they say, if I can use that expression, because we had been having several discussions, the editors at the Post, about ways to incorporate what's going on in the schools and with young people, and to reflect that in the newspaper beyond what we had been doing.
It began in the fall of '99 when there was a vote among the theater teachers in Fairfax County whether they would give this a try, and by a 2-to-1 majority they said yes. And from that point on, I felt like Harold Hill. I had promised them a boys band, right? But the Washington Post had promised to publish reviews.
Just in the same way that we would host an all-Met luncheon and recognize fine athletic performers, we would recognize outstanding scholars. We thought it perfectly appropriate to have an involvement in a program that recognizes excellent performers in the theater and those folks who write about them, and show those kind of skills of good observation, good analysis, and good writing.
And once the first reviews started to come in, I remember Hayfield actually was the first show as well as the first gala. People couldn't believe that the Washington Post would give this much coverage to high school theater. It had never happened anywhere in America like this. We started with 13 Fairfax County public schools plus Bishop Ireton, a parochial school. By the end of the year we had 23, and when we got to April, I remember we'd done nothing to plan for a gala, and I thought, uh-oh, this is going to be like the Music Man. I'm going to be driven out of town on a rail if we don't have a big show. But thanks to your staff and Judy and Roger and everybody, we did it.
The first Cappies Gala was held at Hayfield Secondary School on June 4th, 2000. It was obviously an evening of firsts.
It's time to cheer for theater. Now the worm will turn. Sing hallelujah. Come on, get Cappies. Come on and throw all your cleats away. No game of football is quite as snappy as a musical or high school play. You gotta come in.
Opening the show was the first public performance of Come On, Get Cappy, with new lyrics by Bill set to the tune of Come On, Get Happy. This catchy tune has opened every gala.
You're gonna get a gala, a high school show of shows.